All right, Shabbat say, let us get started. So where are we up to? We left off, 23a, last couple of lines, right? Yeah, 3 lines up from the bottom. So we'll say, so remember, we're talking about the really interesting halachas concerning a bathroom. I'll say, it's just so interesting, because obviously we have such a different setup, right? Okay, of course. Where'd you leave your phone? I don't see.
Because I was coughing, I went over there.
Everything okay? So do you have your phone? Okay. All right, so we're picking up again 23a, Chaf Gimel Amud Aleph, 3 lines up from the bottom. So Rabbi Bar Chana says as follows: when we were following behind Rabbi Yochanan, when he needed to use the bathroom, Chaim thought that he finally had won us over, right? He got rid of all the team. So listen to this. So now what happened? So Rabbi Bar Chana said as follows: when we used to follow behind Rabbi Yochanan, and he had to go to the bathroom, if he was holding a sefer of Agadata, right, the sefer of Agadata, he would go ahead and give it to us to hold. But if he was holding tefillin, Lo hava yavlan. He would not give it to us. Instead, what would he do? Thank you so much, Yishmael. Thank you. Well, thank you. Chamomile? Lemon? Mint juniper? I'm off. All right, I'm going to stop guessing. Anyway, so listen to this. So he says, when he would have a sefer of Agadata, ultimately, again, he would give it to us to hold. But when he had tefillin, ultimately he wouldn't give it to us to hold. Instead, he would go ahead and carry it into the bathroom. Now, obviously, carrying it into the bathroom in the way in which we discussed last night, which was what? Remember, again, in your right hand, wrapped up, opposite your heart, covered. Why would he do this? Amar, hol v'sharur rabbanan. Listen to this, we'll say. Once the rabbis allowed you to bring tefillin into the bathroom, Amud Beis, 23b, so the Gemara says, natranan. Ultimately, again, let me hold them and guard them. So we'll say, this is interesting. So he essentially was saying, once the rabbis gave you a method to bring tefillin into the bathroom, then what? Go with it, guard it, take care of it. Now, what's intriguing about this? Even though, remember again, who was this again? Rabbi Yochanan. Even though Rabbi Yochanan was going to the bathroom, there were people waiting outside for him. He could have just as easily gone ahead and given it to them, yet he felt once the rabbis gave us the allowance to go ahead and take tefillin into the bathroom, obviously, and guard it and watch it, then that's the halacha, that's what you do. So Rabbi said, this is another very important idea. In halacha, it is so important to distinguish between halacha and chumrah. What are you obligated to do versus what is a stringency, right? Now, do stringencies have a place? Absolutely. Everybody needs chumras in different areas of their life, right? Especially in areas where I know that I'm weak or areas that I know that I'm susceptible to error. It's good to be a little bit more machmir, right? It's good to, but I'll say sometimes if the rabbis allow something, you also don't have to be more machmir than the rabbis. Right? Chazal says something is mutter, you do not have to go out of your way to try to figure out a way or a reason to make it asr. This is incredibly, incredibly important. So here again, Chazal said you can take tefillin into the bathroom, take it into the bathroom. Very interesting. Okay, so the Gemara goes weiter. Amar Rava, Ki avazinu said Rav Nachman, when we were walking behind Rav Nachman, Ki avanakit sifra dagarata ya'evlan, Ki avanakit tefillin lo ya'evlan, Amar hal b'shar rabbanan natrin. So we'll say same idea. So here Rava says, when we used to follow behind Rav Nachman, if he was holding a sefer, ultimately, again, if he was holding a sefer, he would give it to us before going into the bathroom. But if he was holding his tefillin, ultimately, again, he would go ahead and carry it inside of the bathroom. Good. Tan Rabbanan. We'll say, here we go. Tan Rabbanan. We'll say, Chaf Gimel Base 23b, 4 lines down. Tanu Rabbanan. I'll do it with my book now. Okay. Tan Rabbanan. Lo yochaz adam tefillin biyadav, sefer Torah is Rabbi Yispala. This is a very interesting halacha. A person should not hold his tefillin in his hands, or even a sefer Torah in his arms, and daven. What's the reason? I will say this is incredible. Take a look at Rashi. Lo yochaz biyadav yispalo she'ein daito miyusheves alav b'tfila. Right, I will say, listen to this. If you're holding something while you're davening, then what? You're concentrating on the object that you're holding. right? So if you're holding something, then at the end of the day, that's what your focus is on. Focus is not on, ultimately, again, is not on the davening. So we'll say this is incredible, right? And now what's even more incredible about this? What are you holding? What are you holding? You're holding a Sefer Torah, right? Look at these cases. Tefillin, Sefer Torah. So we'll say I'll give you a contemporary application of this, just a word of wisdom. Don't daven from your phone. Don't daven from your phone. Why? Because when you daven from your phone, at the end of the day, the distraction. In other words, it's almost impossible to hold your phone and not get distracted. And even if you put your phone on airplane mode, right? On airplane mode when you daven, again, if you have stuff scheduled or other stuff, still stuff could pop up. The idea is that when you're holding something in your hand, other than a siddur, of course, when you're holding something in your hand, at the end of the day, you're going to be distracted. And I will say, again, can't point that enough. What are the examples over here? Sefer Torah, mezuzah, tefillin, right? So all this stuff, right? It's incredible. It's incredible. Kavanah. I'm sorry? So this is Shmona Esrei. So again, whenever you see Yispalo always means Shmona Esrei. V'lo yashtin bahem mayim. Similarly, again, you shouldn't go ahead and urinate, right, with these items as well. V'lo yashtin mayim. V'lo yashin bahen. Lo shinas kev lo shinas harai. So we'll say, so obviously one shouldn't urinate when holding a Sefer Torah or when holding tefillin. Ideally, even though again we just spoke about before how one could technically you're going to the bathroom when holding tefillin, but ideally it's not the ideal. Below yishan bahem, you shouldn't go ahead and sleep next to them either. Again, the concern over here is that a person is not going to be able to exhibit the right level of behavior when a person is asleep. Lo shenas kev, lo shenas harai, not a nap, not a longer sleep. Amr Shmuel, sakin umo sukara vikikar. So Shmuel says, by the way, included in this list are things like a knife, money, a plate, and a loaf of bread. These are just like a Sefer Torah or your cup, right? But we're not davening. You can't hold it during Ma'ariv. You could hold the cup of tea during shiur, right? But not during Ma'ariv. Right? So Shmuel's coming along and saying, this concept of holding on to something, ultimately, again, when you're davening, it doesn't really matter what the object is. And here's what's interesting. It doesn't matter if it's a holy object or if it's just like a regular object. Ideally, you don't hold on to something when you're davening because it is going to distract your concentration. Amar Rav Sheshes. La silchasa ki amasnisa debei shamahi. So we'll say the halacha does not follow this ruling because this ruling ultimately, again, is reflective of Beis Shammai. Now, specifically, what Rashi points out, what he's referring to over here, is that you're not allowed to urinate with tefillin, right? So that halacha, the Gemara says, is reflective of the opinion of Beis Shammai, and we don't hold that way. The Beis Hillel, hashta Beis Hakisei kavua shari. So we'll say, now remember again, Beis Hillel says, like we saw in yesterday's daf, you're allowed to walk into a Beis Hakisei Kavua. Remember again, what's a Beis Hakisei Kavua? An outhouse that was used for defecation, right? So ultimately, again, Beis Hillel holds you could even bring your tefillin into there. Again, not wearing it, but wrapped up and covered. So he says, Beis Hakisei Arai mi boy. So we'll say, now remember, what's the definition of Beis Hakisei Arai? Beis Hakisei Arai is a person who decides to urinate in a field. That's a Beis Hakisei Arai. So ultimately, again, if you're allowed to bring your tefillin, into the Beis Hakisei Kavua, then of course, why should there be a problem urinating with your tefillin? Because at the end of the day, that's a Beis Hakisei Arai. So Meisvei, the Gemara is the kasha, Dvarim shetarti lecha kan, asati lecha kan, things that I permitted for you over here, I have prohibited for you over there. Now, Pashtos, we're assuming over here and there, refers to different types of bathrooms. So the Gemara says, my love tefillin, or we're not talking about tefillin. So it says, the Gemara, watch this. The Gemara says, I amrit bishlam Beis Hillel, hitarti lecha kan kavua. So if he says, referring to Beis Hillel, so Beis Hillel will say like this, I allowed you ultimately, again, to bring tefillin into a Beis Hakisei Kavua, asarti lecha and Beis Hakisei Arai. Ultimately, again, then would it be prohibited to bring it into a temporary Beis Hakisei? Elai amrit Beis Shammai halu shar v'lo midi. But Beis Shammai doesn't allow anything. To which the Gemara says, Ki tanyahi le'inyan tefach utefachayim. Alright, so we'll say this is so interesting. We're getting into a number of these sugyas. They really have to do with just different societal norms. So we'll say the halach of tefach and tefachayim says like this: when a person relieves themselves, so they're only supposed to uncover the minimal part of the body necessary, ultimately, in order to go ahead and take care of their needs. So therefore, we'll say, what is that amount? Tefach and tefachayim. Either one tefach or 2 tfachim. That's the amount that you uncover, ultimately, again, in order to take care of your needs. Well, what does this mean? The Tani Chada, Keshu nifne megalala achorav tefach. If the person has to defecate, so what do? You go ahead and you uncover an area of 1 tefach. I guess that's enough area for a person to take care of their physical needs. Ulefanav tefachayim. Now, interestingly enough, I will say, but by urination, 2 tefachim. You're allowed to uncover 2 tefachim of your body. What's the pshat over there? So I will say, we're going to see something very interesting. By urination, there is a concern of droplets. Now, I will say, we're going to see droplets are not just like a cleanliness, a sanitary issue. There's actually potential for more significant halachic issues as well. And I remember again, I will say, the chapot, well, again, we'll get into this more. All these topics you never thought we'd ever cover, right? Baruch Hashem. V'tanya, I'm sorry? Spoiler, right? V'tanya idach li'acharov tefach u'lefanav v'lo klum. But also another brayso said that ultimately, again, you're allowed to uncover 1 tefach from behind, right? Ultimately to defecate, but nothing in front. So the Gemara says, what? My love, idi v'idi b'ish. Are they not both talking about by a man? V'lo kasha, kan ligdolim, kan liktanim. One is talking about defecation, and one is talking about urination. So for defecation, it's actually interesting. For defecation, this is how interesting. For defecation, you could automatically uncover in the back and in the front. Why? What's the pshat? Because I will say the assumption is that ultimately, again, the force of defecation is going to cause a person to have to urinate. So therefore, by definition, you're allowed to be proactive and therefore uncover both. Conversely, if a person just has to urinate, all they're allowed to go ahead and uncover ultimately is the front. I will say, I just want to point out to you, you're asking yourself, it's like a lot of information over here in terms of kind of, pulling down your pants and just taking care of your physical needs. So I will say, there is understand over here that Chazal are trying to teach us the concept of tznius. We forget, we often just associate tznius with women, but understand that men have an obligation of tznius in the same way that women do. Okay, the application of it is different, but Lamaisa, there's a concept of being a modest person. And modesty means that even when I'm taking care of my physical needs, there's a way to do that in a modest way. I will say, it's the same way, it might sound like a strange example, right? If you're home alone and you're using the bathroom, close the door. I know, no one else is walking in. I got it. Close the door like that. There's a concept of a person behaving in a modest way, right? There's a modesty in the way the person walks around. The modesty, and let's say, this is independent if there are people there or not there. This is about myself, because remember, even if no one else is here, remember again, Shivisi Hashem lenegdi samid, I'm always before the Ribono Shel Olam, and as such, again, the way I conduct myself should be reflected in that. And a really incredible yisod. But Tizbara, ibik tan la'achrav tafach lamali. But 1 second, if we're talking about just urination, so why do you need to uncover any part of your body from behind? Ela idi v'idi bigdolin. Rather, both are talking about defecation. V'lo kasha habi'ish habi'isha. One is talking about a case of a man, one is talking about a case of a woman. A woman never has to uncover anything from in front, only from behind, versus a man who, when he defecates, has to uncover in the front and from behind. Okay. So we'll say, so what is the meaning of the statement? This is a kal v'chomer for which there is no refutation. My anal of tshuva. Ultimately, again, what do you mean it doesn't have a refutation? Darka de milsa hachiisa. The Gemara is just talking about, again, the normal course of human activity. In other words, what do you mean it's a kal v'chomer that doesn't have a tshuva? So the Gemara says, what does that mean? Ela lav tefillin. Rather, both say, maybe we're talking about over here the din of tefillin. Utiyufta derava. And ultimately, again, we are coming to refute, the position of Rava. So the Gemara says, Amar Rav Sheshes, Tiyufta mikol makom kasha hashta beis hakisei kavua shari beis hakisei ara lakosh. And we'll say, here's the problem. Going back to what we said before. If halacha l'maisa is going to be permitted to bring tefillin into an established bathroom, so then obviously you can bring tefillin into what we call a beis hakisei kavua, which is where there's just urination occurring. Hachikar is what it means to say, beis hakisei kavua, the leka nitzotzos shari. Supposed to listen to this. A beis hakisei kavua, an established bathroom where there are no nitzotzos. We're supposed to say nitzotzos are droplets. Ultimately, again, so where there are no droplets, therefore, again, halacha l'maisa, you could bring in tefillin. Beis hakisei di'ika nitzotzos asri. So Rabbi said, listen to how interesting this is. Look at Rashi for just a moment. You see Rashi, it's the last short line, Delekani Tzotzos, Sheitzarech L'Shavshon B'Yamino Me'al Raglav. So Rabbi said, now watch this. So this is actually really interesting. When a person urinates, so in a Beis HaKisei Arai, what's a Beis HaKisei Arai? What's a Beis HaKisei Arai? Yeah. Right? Anywhere you decide to make a Beis HaKisei Arai, right? You're in a field and you relieve yourself, urinate, that's a Beis HaKisei Arai. Now what's the chap of the Beis HaKisei Arai? If you're urinating on the ground, there is the possibility of, I don't know what the right term is. I was kind of looking for a different term, but I guess that's it. I guess that's it. Backsplash. Okay, good. Okay, maybe we'll come up with something different. But all right. But for now, that's certainly descriptive enough, right? So the idea over here is, so what happens? A person may end up going in and getting droplets of urine on their shoes. So you're going to want to wipe it off. So the problem is, what are you going to wipe it off with, right? Your garment. So the problem is, even if the tefillin are wrapped up, it's not bakavadik if you're going to start wiping off. So what's interesting is, apparently in a Beis HaKisei Kavua, in the established bathroom, there was no, I guess maybe because the ground was different, maybe again it was sand, maybe instead of like hard earth, so there was no backsplash, right? There was no right. So therefore again, so lemaisa, maybe in that case, is actually interesting. So here would be a chumrah, almost like a stringency, that a Beis HaKisei Arai would have over a Beis HaKisei Kavua. Okay, so the Gemara says, I'm sorry.
So we said that a person could urinate while he's wearing tefillin, but not holding them, because when he's wearing them, if he's going to use his baguette to wipe it, the baguette technically, wearing it, that's not a problem.
Correct. The issue just is if you're, it sounds a little counterintuitive, right? It sounds like you could, although. Well, we're also, don't discount the fact that we are throwing a whole bunch of opinions out here right now. We'll see the halacha l'maisa, but yes, there is a school of thought that would say you could urinate while wearing tefillin, yet you can't urinate while having tefillin wrapped up in your garment. And even then, that's in a Beis HaKisei Arai, not a Beis HaKisei Kavua. Let's just finish up to the last two dots. Ihaki, amai ein olav tshuva. So if that's the case, why is it no refutation? Tshuva mal yosa, haki kamar, Ha milsa tisle b'ktoras taima, v'lo tisle b'ktoras kavachomer. This matter that we're discussing over here, learn it out ultimately again through sound logic and not through a kal v'chomer. The asile b'ktoras kavachomer zeh kal v'chomer she'en olav tshuva. Because ultimately, again, if you learn it out through a kal v'chomer, ultimately again it's a kal v'chomer that halacha l'maisa does not have a refutation. So we'll say what we are left. Well, we'll stop over here for tonight. We'll pick up in Meretz Hashem with the two dots tomorrow. Ultimately, don't worry, we're not finished. There's more still about these halachas, and I want to show you. I don't think we did. I know that I still owe you the Shulchan Aruch by Bal Keri. Right? We never did that halacha l'maisa. So Meretz Hashem tomorrow night we'll also see the halacha l'maisa by what do you do in general with tefillin in a bathroom. Right? What is the general halacha? So we'll pick up at the two dots tomorrow. We'll say shkoyach. I'm sorry, we got started a minute or two late. Shkoyach. Yeah, what's Thursday night? Yeah, no, I'm here. Yeah, Meretz Hashem.